All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to collect water, filter your water, and boil your water in a couple very specific methods. Now, if you want to try this yourself, you're going to need a plastic bottle with a lid, some 550 quarter string, and the first step, you're going to need to get some grass. Up, it's fell down a little bit, but you see how I've laid the grass? I just pushed it straight down inside to where it's just gently laying over one another all the way around, kind of making kind of like a weaved pattern in the bottom. Okay, that's your first step. Now, the way I do these, I know there's other videos online about them, but the way I was taught, I kind of modified it a little bit because I didn't see the sense in having to use your grass more than once. You don't need to use the grass more than once. So I'm going to go collect some good sand, some stones. We still got our Dakota hole going. I got some nice embers in there. It's going to make for a good video, guys. All right, stay tuned for the next step. Peace. All right, folks, this next step is pretty important. Now, if you're lucky in this situation to have moving water, collect your water in the faster moving part, all right? And collect the surface water, okay? It helps to not have a dog upstream from you muddying up the water, but for all intents and purposes, we're gonna roll with it. If it's a little dirty, that's what we're making the filter for. So try to collect your water off from the surface here. You're less likely to get any bacteria or anything. It could be lurking down in the sediment. However, you still want to treat this water, and I'm going to show you how. All right, I'll bring you back when we're ready. All right, folks, we're back here at the Dakota hole, and what I've done is I've built up a nice hot bed of coals, and I'm going to be adding more wood to it here in a minute. I'm going to be taking these stones and putting them in there to get them nice and hot. And I'll tell you guys why here in a minute. But first, all right, so we have our bottle with the grass in it, making kind of like a net. I've got some real fine sand and some pebbles. I got a little bit larger stuff here. And charcoal. This is your most important part. So when you have a fire going and you want to get the charcoal from it, of course you could see this ashy white stuff. That's not what you need. The chunks that are still black, all right, this one needs to cook a little bit more on the other side, but it's basically mostly black, just like this one right here. You want to get you a couple of sticks, make some tongs or something. I'm using these metal ones, and simply pull them out, set them over next to your fire, pour a little bit of your water on them, put them out so they will no longer be smoking or hot. And then just simply crumble them up and wait for the next step. All right, so when we come back, we are going to be assembling our water filter. And then I can't wait to show you the next part. All right, folks, so I'm starting to put my sand and little pebbles down in the bottom. That is going to be the last area of filtration for this. All right, so after you get a little layer in there, about an inch, as you can see, about an inch on top of the grass, you want to put you a little bit of this charcoal. All right, about an inch of it as well. Now, the way I do it, I like it to filter kind of quick. If you make so many layers, it's going to take, and you compact it in real hard, it's going to take forever. Now, where I'm going to show you how to boil this as well, we're just getting, the charcoal's helping get contaminants out by absorbing the toxins, okay? The sand and the pebbles are getting any solids that's trying to pass through. Let me show you what I did with my little lid here. So I left the lid on it and I cut a little triangle into it and I flipped it down. That way when the water comes to it, it'll fall right off of there. You know what I mean? It'll either bead off or it'll drip off. All right. So now I got some smaller stuff in here. We're gonna do another little layer of small pebbles and sand. I'm just using some old wrapping, like cardboard paper we got in the package to set this stuff on. Works good. That's all I need. And I don't even fill mine all the way up to the top, folks. If you do it with enough charcoal and you layer your rocks right, it works pretty dang good. And if you're going to boil your water, you could still boil it dirty. I don't recommend it. But it's always better to filter it first. All right. So we're going to put in another layer of charcoal here. Now at this point, you do want to take a stick. I'm going to use my little tongs. Kind of pack everything down a little bit. All right, now we're going to get some of the bigger pebbles, some of the bigger ones, and we're going to make about a 2-3 inch layer. And it's okay if you're putting a little bit of the finer stuff in there too. That's totally fine. It helps fill in the gaps. And a lot of this is sandstone, so it's really porous. It'll help collect any debris that's coming through. And like I said, I've already filtered this stuff out, cleaned it real good. The rocks are pretty dang clean themselves. All right, so let's pour some of the finer stuff in on that. And this is basically like a homemade fish tank filter, except you're making it to clean your water before you boil it. It's a pretty good method. All right, I'm gonna put this little bit of charcoal on top. I've got to get some more materials. We'll be right back. All right, folks, had to get some more charcoal here. Like I said, we want to put about 3 inch layer. It don't have to be exact. All right, we're going to pack this one in a little more. It's important that you get these top layers pretty snug. See, I still layer mine, but I don't do so many small layers. I cut out a lot of the small layers and put one big fat charcoal layer up top. As you can tell off in the distance, somebody's having a good time with a rifle. All right, you got that pretty good. Get a couple more pieces. And I'm using charred oak, so we'll have that charred oak flavor. And then I put just a few pebbles and a little bit of stuff on top of it. Too easy. So basically you got the grass as a net, and you got some sand, about 1 inch of sand down there in that very, like that focal point. The last little bit it passes through will be some sand, which is good. They use sand in all sorts of types of filters. Then we have our first layer of charcoal. Then we have a little bit bigger stones, more charcoal. And then we're going to finish it off with a little bit of pebbles on top of the charcoal. A little bit of the smaller pieces. And we'll be back with the next step, folks. All right, so next step, folks. Now I've already hydrated my charcoal and got it good and wet and washed off any that black residual residue on it the best I could, but a little bit is still going to come out, especially after you kind of pack those top layers in. So always, if you have an excess of water, it just needs filtered and clean, run it at least one good time, throw that out, and then put the water you want to boil in after that. It just gets it going. Now, you'll notice it might start off kind of fast, but then it'll usually slow down to about a drip like this. And that's kind of what you want. You want everything to settle in there. That's how you know the filter's working. When you get it down to about a basic drip like this, your filter is doing its job. I just filled that bottle up. It's hard to see, but that's all water up to about right here. And it's doing its job. So I'll bring you back for the next step, folks. All right, folks, we're about ready to boil some water in a plastic container. But first, I must explain something. If you're using the sandstone rocks and they are wet, hell, they ain't even gotta be wet, just a little bit of moisture in them, they explode. All right, I might have already mentioned that to you, but it's important that you're not hanging out over top of this damn Dakota hole, or you might catch rock shrapnel to the face from a damn exploding sandstone. Now, I have some really hard rocks in there. They don't normally explode like sandstone does, and that's what I'm gonna try to use first. I do have a couple of sandstones in there, and yes, they did blow up. So I just wanna put that out there. Be really careful, and I'm about to show you that method. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we gotta be really careful when we're grabbing these stones out of here, okay? And just like I said about holding your head over the hole, don't do that. Just keep your arm over the hole, grab your stones, and drop it over here in your water. All right? It's important that you always practice safety, even when you're just practicing. All right? So they can also explode from the sudden temperature change of dropping them in this cold water. So we're going to go for these harder stones first. All right. So you need water to boil at a roll for 2 minutes. All right. So we got to get this thing up to a rolling boil. And you see, we're using a plastic container here. Step back a little bit. This is one of the ones that might go. So as you can see, it's creating that rolling boil right now. We want to keep dropping them stones in there. We want to see that water rolling. Now we only need 2 minutes, guys. Only 2 minutes, and that water will be purified and good for the drinking. Look at that. That right there is a piece of sandstone that got hot and exploded. You guys always want to be careful. All right, so while that's boiling, I'm going to try to talk about something here for a minute. I seen this method on a show called Dual Survival when I was a boy. It was years ago. I had to be still in my teens. I've never done this method, so this is the first time on camera that I've ever attempted this. But folks, I'm here to tell you it works, because it's working right before our eyes. As long as those rocks don't melt through the side of this plastic, we're in good shape. Now, as you can see, that water has a little bit of stuff in it, but that charcoal is not going to hurt you, folks. If you're in a dire situation and you need to boil water and all you could find was an old crusty plastic bottle or container down by the river, and you can start a fire, you got it right here. I mean, folks, this will save your life. And I'm not even joking. We got plenty of rocks in there. It's going to boil. And once that's done, you can make you some pine needle tea, sit back by your fire, and enjoy the good life. I really hope you enjoyed that, folks. Peace.
Hey guys. Hey, I wanted to throw in here real quick at the end of this video. Boiling water in plastic, it's not something you want to do on purpose. Only if you have to. Sort of deal, okay? Because there's chemicals in plastic. You heat it up, it leaches into your water. This method is for if that's all you have. You know, that's 2 great uses for plastic bottles. 1, making a water filter. 2, actually boiling water in plastic if you need to. All right, and I want to kind of tell you how it works. All right, charcoal is negatively charged, all right? So when positively charged toxins, gases, whatever's in the water passes through the charcoal. The charcoal is porous and it's negatively charged, so it attracts those particles. All right. If you do have a little bit of that charcoal residue down in your pot, if you ran it just to clean it, it's okay. It ain't going to kill you. They use it in hospitals. You know, you have it in your fish tank. If you have a fish tank, you ever seen how a fish tank filter is made? It don't kill your fish. You know, you got to pre-soak it and wet it first to kind of clear off all that black dust. So you do want to kind of hydrate it and wash it off so your water isn't coming out black. Kind of turns you off, but it's not going to hurt you. And like I said, you have to drink water. When you're driving on, you're pushing out into the woods, if it's in the middle of the summer or it's cold, it don't matter. You get dehydrated, and you get dehydrated quick. So just keep that method in your back pocket because it's very useful. I just wanted to add that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you.